There's a moment when something falls apart, a career, a plan, a relationship, a dream, when your mind races to name it, to frame it, to make sense of it. And usually the first word that comes is loss. I lost the job, I lost the opportunity. I lost the life I thought I was building. And that word loss carries a heavy grief. It carries a narrative of defeat, a story of scarcity, a belief that what's gone is the best thing you were ever going to get. And now you have to figure out how to live smaller, quieter, sadder. But what? What if that story isn't the whole truth? What if not everything that falls apart is truly a loss? What if some things collapse because they were never meant to carry the weight of who you're becoming? What if some endings are answers to prayers you didn't even know how to pray yet? What if the breaking you're grieving right now is actually the blessing that is clearing space for a truer, freer, fuller version of your life? It's a radical idea, one that feels almost offensive when the pain is fresh. Because collapse feels like death. It feels like failure, it feels like abandonment. And honoring your grief is crucial. You must grieve. You must allow yourself to feel the stain, the confusion, the disappointment. You must mourn the dreams that didn't survive. You must let yourself cry for the version of your life that will never happen. Now that grief is sacred. That grief is honest, that grief is necessary. But once you have honored it, not rushed it, not skipped it, not silenced it, you are invited to look deeper. You are invited to ask harder, braver questions. What if this thing falling apart wasn't meant to last? What if it was too small for me all along? What if it demanded that I shrink parts of myself that were never meant to be contained? What if it cost me more peace, more integrity, more aliveness than I was willing to admit? What if the collapse is not evidence that I failed, but evidence that I outgrew a container too narrow for my becoming? Because sometimes, often, life removes what you would never have had the courage to walk away from. Yourself. Sometimes it dismantles the things you were using as false security. Sometimes it strips away the things you thought you needed in order to show you who you really are. And when you look at your life through that lens, not everything that broke your heart was a betrayal. Some of it was a rescue, some of it was mercy. Disguised as mess, some of it was the universe. God, life itself whispering, trust me, there's more. But it's hard to trust that when you're sitting in the rubble. It's hard to believe that when all you can see are the shattered pieces of what you worked so hard to build. It's hard to stay open to possibility when fear is screaming that collapse means you're ruined, that it's too late, that you'll never rebuild. Fear is loud in the aftermath of loss. Fear tells you to settle for the first safe thing that comes along. Fear tells you to armor up, to lower your expectations, to stop dreaming so big, to stop wanting so much. But here's what you have to remember. Fear is short-sighted. Fear only knows how to protect your past. It has no vision for your future. It cannot see what is still possible for you. It cannot imagine what you are capable of building from here. Only faith can do that. Only love can do that. Only hope, stubborn, unreasonable, radical hope can do that. Hope that says, maybe the ending was a beginning in disguise. Maybe the thing that fell apart was the thing blocking the door to what's next. Maybe the ashes you're sitting in are not the end of your story, but the soil from which your next season will bloom. Maybe you're not ruined, maybe you're being remade. Maybe you're not lost, maybe you're being rerouted. Maybe you're not broken, maybe you're breaking open. And that opening, as painful as it is, as terrifying as it feels, that opening is where the light gets in. And that opening is where your deeper strength gets born. That opening is where your life gets honest, gets aligned, gets free. So don't rush to patch over the pain. Don't rush to build something just to say you're back. Don't rush to fill the silence with noise. Sit with it, stay with it. Listen to what's dying and what's trying to be born. Because collapse always carries both, the death of the false and the invitation to the real. It's not easy, it's not clean. It's not linear, but it is holy. It is human. It is the forge where new dreams, truer dreams, deeper dreams are born. Dreams that aren't about proving your worth, but living it. Dreams that aren't about impressing others, but embodying yourself. Dreams that aren't about chasing validation, but about from love. Dreams that feel less like performance and more like peace, and you exactly as you are. Exactly where you are, exactly in this painful, beautiful, sacred mess are already enough to step into that new story. You don't have to wait until you figure it all out. You don't have to wait until the fear is gone. You don't have to wait until you have a need. Answer for the people who don't understand. You're not over it yet, you just had to stay open. You just had to keep breathing. You just had to keep trusting that not every breaking is a breaking down. Some breakings are a breaking free. And you brave, brilliant. Becoming, you are breaking free. Keep going, the story isn't over yet. In fact, it's just beginning. After the collapse, after the dust settles, after the grief has been honored, there comes a quiet, deeper season, a season where you begin to see that the breaking wasn't just destruction. It was preparation, it was a clearing of space. It was an opening inside of you that needed to happen, so that something more honest, more rooted, more real could take shape. And here's the hardest and most beautiful truth. The person you are becoming through this breaking is someone you could never have become if everything had stayed intact. Comfort does not build character. Certainty does not stretch courage. Safety does not teach you how to trust yourself when the map disappears. Only the collapse does that. Only the breaking forces you to dig into reserves of resilience, creativity, strength and faith that you didn't know you had. Only the falling apart shows you that you are capable of rebuilding. Not just a career, not just a plan, but an entire self. A self that knows how to hold disappointment without collapsing into it. A self that knows how to love even after losing. A self that knows how to stand in the ashes of what was and still dare to dream about what could be. A self that is not naive about pain, but is still stubborn about possibility. And that self, the one emerging from this season, is a force, a light, a testament to the quiet, indestructible strength of the human spirit. You are becoming that person right now, even if you can't see it yet. Even if all you feel today is tired, even if all you feel today is lost, even if all you feel today is doubt. Growth is not always visible in the moment. Healing is not always loud. Transformation is not always glamorous. Sometimes it looks like crying in the shower and then sending one brave email anyway. Sometimes it looks like feeling paralyzed by fear, but still saying yes to an opportunity that scares you for all the right reasons. Sometimes it looks like spending months in reflection, entangling the difference between what you were taught to want and what you actually want. Sometimes it looks like letting yourself be a beginner again, humbling, awkward, vulnerable, because you're brave enough to believe that it's never too late to start over. Sometimes it looks like not knowing the answer, but still showing up fully to the question. That's what rebuilding looks like. That's what becoming looks like. That's what real success, soul deep, uncheckable success looks like. And you are in the middle of it right now. You are not behind, you are not broken. You are not too late, you are becoming. You are growing, you are stepping into a future that is still being written. A future that is still wide open with possibility. But to walk into that future fully, you have to bless the breaking that brought you here. You have to stop seeing the collapse as proof of your inadequacy and start seeing it as proof of your evolution. You have to forgive yourself for not being able to hold it all together, because maybe holding it together would have kept you trapped in a version of life that wasn't worthy of you. You have to trust that even in the moments that look like losing, you were actually winning something more precious than status or approval. Your freedom, your truth, your soul. You have to believe that not everything that ends is a tragedy. Some endings are kindnesses. Some endings are love notes from the universe. Some endings are grace wearing the mask of grief. And yes, it's hard. Yes, it hurts. Yes, you have every right to mourn what you thought you'd have, but you also have every right to celebrate what you're making space for now. You have every right to be excited about the blank page ahead of you. You have every right to trust that the skills you are learning in this season, resilient, self-compassion, patience, vision, are preparing you for opportunities that you don't have to twist yourself out of shape to fit into. You have every right to believe that the future you're walking toward will require everything you've learned, not just the shiny marketable skills, but the invisible ones. The ability to stay hopeful when the world is dark. The ability to get back up after disappointment. The ability to hold joy and sorrow in the same without hand, dropping either. Those are your real qualifications now. Those are your real assets, and no one, no layoff, no failure, no missed opportunity can take them from you. They are yours, you earned them. You are becoming someone who doesn't just survive seasons of collapse. You transmute them, you turn them into wisdom. You turn them into art, you turn them into bridges for others who are still lost in their own rubble. And that, my friend, is a legacy no title or paycheck or perfect plan could ever match. So breathe, and bless the breaking. Bless the season that stripped you down to your essentials. Bless the losses that taught you how to find yourself. Again, bless the disappointments that showed you what you will never again settle for. Bless the detours that taught you that your worth was never in reaching a destination. It was always in the way you kept moving, kept loving, kept believing along the way. Bless it all, bless yourself and step forward. Not with the heavy armor of fear, but with the lightness of someone who knows they have already survived the worst and found themselves still standing. Step forward into your next season, not because you have to prove anything to anyone, but because you are worthy of what comes next. Step forward with the knowledge that not everything that falls apart is a loss. Some things fall apart because life loves you too much to let you stay where you don't belong. Some things collapse to clear space for the miracle you stopped believing was possible. Some things break so that you can break free. And freedom, real freedom, is worth every tear, every unanswered prayer, every hard night. You thought you wouldn't make it through. You made it through, you are here. You are breathing, you are becoming. And your story, your real story, your most beautiful story is still unfolding. Keep walking, keep believing. Keep choosing the sacred, painful, holy work of hope. Because you are not the ruins. You are the rebuilder. You are not the brokenness. You are the becoming. You are not the end. You at the beginning always have been, always will be.